And I'm not saying take all their funding. I'm not the defund everything guy. I'm just saying Chris Wray doesn't need a government-funded G5 jet to go to vacation. Maybe we ground that plane. $15,000 every time it takes off. Just a thought.
Minimum.
Go take their money. Chris Wray doesn't need a private jet.
We're not the guys running around on private jets. And somebody maybe in Congress should ask for how many flights on a private jet Director Comey took, or my predecessor Director Wray took, and how many personal trips they took.
Kash Patel, FBI private jet scandal en fuego. Or is it? Well, watch a little bit more.
Patel, once a MAGA loyalist and now one of Trump's most trusted appointees, has been accused of using a $60 million government jet for personal date nights with his girlfriend, country singer Alexis Wilkins. According to Bloomberg and the Daily Beast, Patel took an FBI aircraft to Penn State, attended a wrestling event with Wilkins, and then flew to Nashville, all in the middle of a government shutdown where thousands of federal workers are going unpaid.
The FBI director, of course, has to fly on the secure plane for security reasons, but he is required to reimburse the cost of the flight, but only at a coach price. So Kash Patel, his security detail, the pilots, the flight attendants, the ground crew, everybody had to work and get paid our tax dollars for Kash Patel to have to reimburse the government $239.
Public flight logs show he took a taxpayer-funded government jet. Later that night, that same jet flew from Pennsylvania to Nashville, where Patel's girlfriend lives.
So it is interesting that Kash Patel railed against the use of private jets by specifically FBI directors and is doing it quite a bit himself. But he did explain something that is a pretty good rationale, because in this crazy world, in this nonstop news cycle, we do have to be able to determine what is a true huge scandal and which maybe isn't the biggest deal in the world. So there is this fact.
Do you know why I have to use a private jet? Because Congress made it mandatory.
Okay. In April 5th, well, we didn't make it mandatory that you go to UFC games with Mel Gibson.
Are you telling me I can't go home?
All right, so not a huge scandal, because he legally has to take the jets, and he is paying the commercial rate for the flight. So, and he apparently is also taking off from Air Force bases more than commercial airfields to save money. So that's good. Maybe he didn't know when he was railing against it that Congress made it so that they cannot fly commercial. They could perhaps revisit that rule. But also maybe during government shutdown, you don't need to be taking that jet to visit your girlfriend. So it's not great. It's not a good look. And maybe you don't need to be then also taking it to New York to go to a UFC event with Mel Gibson, who's a questionable human being in general as well. And then take it to Miami to go to a sporting event with Wayne Gretzky. You're not FBI director to be pals with a bunch of celebrities. You're there to stop crime, to federally investigate stuff with your bureau. Remember, because you wanted to go in there and like shut it all down because of how corrupt you thought it was, and now you're like spending a lot of money, having fun trips constantly, when most of us don't have fun trips. And then also there's a government shutdown, so it's extra weird that you're doing it right now. Nonetheless, he's still getting heat even from right-wing influencers like former FBI agent Kyle Seraphin, who is a podcaster now, of course, the reverse of the Kash Patel career trajectory. Take a look.
Again, he was called out because he flew out there to go see his girlfriend sing in the middle of a government shutdown. And he's personally stated over and over again that this is a terrible way for us to spend money.
But I think the shadiest thing going on here is that Patel fired Stephen Palmer, the third head of the FBI's Critical Incident Response Group, just under Patel's short, less than 1 year reign, because reportedly Patel was angry about the private jet's flight logs being made publicly available. If that's true, to take a career member of the FBI, a career public servant, and fire him because you're embarrassed, that's when it gets into very messed up territory. And this is a man that's in charge of investigating terrorist incidents and terrorist threats, and they just have now a job opening placed on the FBI website to fill this spot. So maybe don't hate fire someone who exposes stuff that you're supposedly comfortable with doing because supposedly you don't have any other choice, and then leave us more vulnerable to terrorist attack. That maybe is the larger issue there.
They were never really on principle against indoctrination. They just wanted to do it themselves and more. They were never really against weaponizing the Justice Department. They just wanted to do it themselves and more. They were never against grift. They just wanted to do it themselves and more. And the public, sadly, has gotten used to this kind of behavior from this administration.
Kash Patel was saying that Christopher Wray shouldn't be taking all these trips. The problem was that Christopher Wray shouldn't be taking all these trips, right? Like he should be.
Yes.
And so I just think, yes, I mean, if you are in this administration, kind of almost by definition, you think a certain amount of graft and corruption and expropriation is good and admirable. And if you're not doing it, you're something of a sucker.
And just more generally, all of this just shows the lack of seriousness of this administration. They're kids, they're juveniles, they post embarrassing, stupid, funny, childish memes. They travel to go to sporting events with celebrities all the time. In fact, they'll soon bring the sporting events to the White House by, in the near future, having a UFC match on the White House lawn.
According to flight tracker data, on the weekend of March 7th, an FBI plane flew round trip from D.C. to Las Vegas, and you attended a UFC fight with Mel Gibson, and I'll show you that. Is that you, and is that true?
Yeah, you want to know the difference? I live in Las Vegas. I'm allowed to go home. I didn't leave a congressional hearing early on an FBI jet to dodge questions.
All right. Then on April 5th, you attended a hockey game in New York City. You don't live there, right?
No, I don't.
By the way, everyday FBI agents who are assigned in Washington don't get to fly home on a private jet.
Well, this is a great point. Do you know why I have to use a private jet? Because Congress made it mandatory.
Okay. In April 5th, well, we didn't make it mandatory that you go to UFC games with Mel Gibson.
Are you telling me I can't go home?
You got to use some judgment here.
So when I'm at home, I can't do what I'm doing when I go home. Everybody else is allowed to go home, just not me.
Let me keep going. No, I'm glad you go home. I love to go home. But I don't go home on a private jet. On April 5th,
you're not mandated to do so.
You attended a hockey game in New York City with Wayne Gretzky. And Flight Tracker says the FBI jet took you to and from New York City, where you don't live, right?
That's correct.
And on April 12th, on the following weekend, you attended a UFC fight in Miami, also on the FBI jet, right?
That's correct.
So what's the cost to the taxpayer for those 3 flights?
I pay the commercial equivalent per the regs and the law.
We're living in weird times. We used to have career politicians in office. That was not ideal because they would get corrupted and jaded. But it's also not ideal to have children in office who don't take the job seriously either. So maybe let's try a third option sometime in the future, shall we? I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. You can follow me at Ben Gleib on Instagram for lots more.
Hello everybody, David Schuster here. Thanks for watching. If you found this reporting and commentary valuable, do us a favor and tap the like button. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you'll be notified on your YouTube homepage when we drop a new video. If you are tired of corporate spin and want honest, people-focused news, click the join button below and be part of the fight for a better future. We wouldn't be here without your support. Stay informed. Stay engaged. And thanks again for joining us.